10:02 on the fan. What's happening? Tiki Tierney here, ready to go. Big day for you. Julian Love going to join us. Start priming up those G-men. Getting ready for the Vikes. Sweeney Murdy's going to pop in. What in the world's going on with this Carlos Correa situation? Getting wackier by the day. We'll hit all that. Teak, what's happening, buddy? How are you today?
So much of this Zach Wilson saga over this last year, really the last couple of years, has created a serious doubt in whether he's ever going to be the guy. And I try to find examples where a young player has been given the stage to compete and to grow and to be that guy, and he just keeps failing and failing, and the coaching staff keeps failing and failing. And now the Jets find themselves in a very precarious point because Zach Wilson is probably a bust for the Jets. I'm not saying he can't go someplace else and figure it out and do whatever, but he's probably a bust for the Jets. And that's got to be frustrating for all involved because there was so much expectation for him, so many exciting potentials, use that dirty word when it's not fulfilled, for Zach Wilson, and it just never happened. And now it sounds like and it feels like the Jets are right back at square one in year 3 with Zach Wilson. And I can't see the path forward. So I'm not saying he's going to be a bust and he's never going to be a successful player in the NFL. Hell, the Jets may even figure it out if they bring in the right person, whoever that may be. But he, in my mind, is busted. And it's not because of him. It's because of the entire situation around him. I try to look at the guys who had bad seasons that have turned into good quarterbacks as rookies or second years, whoever it may be. Mm-hmm. Josh Allen is the one that jumps off the page because he was garbage as a rookie throwing the football. 52% completion percentage, 10 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. But there was this little thing on the side that you pointed to. It was like, oh, wait, he rushed for 630 yards and had 8 rushing touchdowns. There was always like a little bit of something. Same thing can be said for, Lamar Jackson. Even Tua had a couple of big days as a like. I look at Zach Wilson and I can't find that silver lining. I can't find that little ray of sunshine that's telling me, well, if he just does this a whole lot better, other than off-platform crazy, whatever, non-predictable things, I can't find it with him. And now I'm listening to, the exit interviews, and he's saying he's going to compete. Zach says he's going to compete. They're talking about bringing in a veteran offensive mind, Gary Kubiak, whoever that may be. Robert Saleh has the plan. Like, they're back at square one with Zach one in year 3. That never works, ever. I'm trying to think of the example, and it just doesn't work without significant change. Daniel Jones, it's working in year 4 because there was significant change. New head coach, new coordinator. If you're going to run it back the same for Zach Wilson, like it sounds like they're trying to do, it's not going to work.
I got to tell you, I was a little confused overall with what the Jets were throwing out there yesterday in totality.
Yes.
Just that's how I walked away. Is LaFleur coming back? Is LaFleur coming back with some senior veteran voice above him? Is Zach going to get a real shot to be the starter? Is Zach going to be gone? I certainly understand that. Oftentimes words, especially in sports, like we hang on these words. Oh, what did the coach say? Oh, what did Brian Cashman say? What did Aaron Boone say? Usually it doesn't really matter. It's what they do in terms of changing the roster and eventually the execution of the new players they bring in and if you will, like a recalibration of whatever needs to be recalibrated. And that's ultimately what's going to define these Jets moving forward here. But I would have liked a little more clarity yesterday from the Jets. There was some mixed messaging. There was just some wires that were crossing. Joe Douglas was kind of saying this, and there was an intimation of that. And Robert Saleh was throwing this out there, but this was also kind of intimated. And, Zach said that, and this might actually be true. I don't really feel better. Now, to be fair, it doesn't matter what they said yesterday. Unless it was, we just got off the phone with Sean Payton. That would have made me feel absolutely better. But I'm a little confused. I ended the season with there was actually apathy going into the Miami game, but there was rage down the stretch, how the Jets just disintegrated.
Yes.
And then it morphed into apathy. Now it's into confusion. And confusion sometimes with me leads back to rage.
It doesn't make me feel good about the direction. It really doesn't.
No, I agree.
And the one thing I wanted out of this exit interviews, because you always get them at the end of the season, you usually don't pay attention, but when you waffled like the Jets did, you kind of want like an understanding of tell us what exactly happened and how you're going to get back on path. And I'm left feeling like they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a good thing. And yeah, I know the season ended not even a week ago, 4 days ago. But you had to have been thinking about this. There had to be some sort of formulation of a plan, and it doesn't feel like it's there. And, it's all going to come back to the quarterback. It always does, especially when your team has some talent like the Jets do. It always falls on that guy who takes the ball every offensive snap and has to be the leader, has to dictate success. And I'm struggling to find how to not put him in the bust category. Like, I really don't want to, because I like the kid. I like the opportunity and the physical talents and the skill, all that stuff that we talk about. When he was at BYU, I like that, and I want to see the success story. I want to see the redemption. I want to see it, but I don't know if he has it, and I don't know if the team is going to put him in a position to fully realize it. And I'm not a Jet fan, but I can see why Jet fans are frustrated, borderline pissed off, because this seems to happen over and over and over and over and over again.
Yep, that's why I always look at Woody. To me, there's a thread there. Ownership. Leon Hess, rest in peace, not a good owner. Jets didn't win. Woody Johnson, not a good owner. Jets don't win. 877-337-6666. Tiki and Tierney on the Fan. Yeah, he's a bust. I mean, so far he's a bust. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't come back from that, although there are very few examples. The one that's most often cited, though at this point it's 15, 16 years ago, mid-2000s, with Alex Smith, who was the first overall pick out of Utah, where he had multiple coaches and, there were so many moving parts. You and I talked about this a lot back in the day.
It's actually remarkable, this career that he had, given the crap that he put out those first couple of years.
Yeah, he was hurt as well. He missed an entire season. I think it was his shoulder. He actually had a sub 50% completion percentage. They didn't win. I mean, he was just bamboozled out there in the Bay. Not quite the way we do it here. It's a different energy out there. Like we're more raw here. They're a little different out there, but trust me, they weren't happy. And I understand why. He stunk. And then all of a sudden, a tremendous head coach came in. He said, I see this player as salvageable. I've got to augment what we do. I've got to run more. And that's where Frank Gore, at this point, the Niners reciting their history is meaningless. But there are a few chapters in the lengthy NFL book that gives you a speck of hope that the Jets could get this right. But Tiki is not wrong. Right now, he is an absolute bust. Statistically, emotionally, all the things you need from your quarterback. He's a bust. He's a bust.
And the problem is I don't trust what's happening inside the team.
That's where I was going.
To make it better.
Yeah, the only reason it changes is because there's generally an abrupt change, either, with the coach or with listen, Garrett Wilson's great. And Elijah Moore's talented. I don't think they unlock him enough. But one of the reasons why it changed up in Buffalo is they went and they traded for Stephon Diggs, who's a veteran. And he was a veteran when they got him.
That's right. Same thing happened in Miami, right, with Tua. Now, Tua's got injury concerns and 3 concussions in a year. Who knows what his future actually holds, or if he's going to play this weekend. Not they made the postseason. But the point is, when you need to really elevate a quarterback who's borderline, is he going to make it, or is he bust, or is he like salvageable? You go get him a stud. And I mean, the Jets kind of have that, but he's a rookie, and I don't know. It's just the plan is escaping me. It really is. I want to see it successful because I want New York sports to be successful, but it's escaping me right now.
Yeah.
And it forces me to put Zach in a bucket that sucks. Right, being in that bust bucket sucks because people will talk about it. People still talk about Jamarcus Russell.
He's a point of reference.
Ryan Leaf. Like these, you know all the names.
Historical footnotes.
And if you are in
not
a
good
market,
when their name comes up.
If you're in a market like New York, it's going to be there for a long time.
Undeniable, Teak. 877-337-6666 is our number inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Our friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Listen, Giant fans, this is it's almost your time. You got to bear with it. We've got to sort through this stuff. It is what it is. I mean, the Jets just absolutely collapsed in incredible fashion, and there's a lot of confusion out there in Florham Park. And I think what I was looking for was, that one sage voice, that one reassurance that things would get right. And I didn't hear that. I didn't hear it yesterday. I was looking forward. Again, I like what Zach Wilson said. And if you missed it, he said, hey, if they bring in a veteran, I'm going to make this guy's life, live in hell every day. Great. He's supposed to say that. And nobody even knows if Zach's going to be on the team next season. And that's okay. I think everything should be on the table. I just don't know where that ultimate voice is coming from that I trust. My trust in Joe Douglas, while I'm not abandoning Joe entirely, it's not nearly as strong as it was. It's just not. I'm not sure if he got the coach, and he probably whiffed on the quarter. Actually, to this point, he absolutely whiffed on the quarterback. So, my belief in Joe has gone a little sideways. And the head coach, where I stand. I think he's okay. I don't think he's anything special. I don't know that he's a franchise elevator. One thing that I had to laugh at, and not in the comedic sense, I mean the torturous sense. I hear Jets saying yesterday, "Oh God, I love Roberts. I believe," and that's fine. Well, how about you play for him down the stretch? Because Teak, that is the thing. Like, you can tell somebody, God, I care about you. I want the best for you. I have your back. But when they call you at 2:12 in the morning and something's wrong and you don't pick up the phone, do you really have their back? Think about that. Did the Jets really have the collective back of their head coach the last 2 months?
They didn't play like it.
Exactly. Now, they might say that. That might sound good. Oh, what a cute little soundbite. And I'm not knocking the kid. Kid's phenomenal. Breece Hall definitely said that. I love him. All right, great. Well, maybe, and to be fair, Breece was out there. They probably squeezed out the additional win or two required to make the playoffs. But everybody else that's telling us how much they love Robert Saleh, actions speak louder than words. And you guys had a chance on national TV on a Thursday to do something about it. You got punked by the Jaguars. You had a chance to exercise some demons in Seattle. You got punked out in Seattle by a team that didn't even qualify for the playoff. Barely. They had a good season. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, they did, but they almost did not. You know what I'm saying? So all these things that they tell us, I need actions. I need it to be backed up. And yesterday was rather empty rhetoric for me. I don't know exactly what I expected. I just think I was hoping to be moved emotionally more than I was.
I think in order
with conviction.
But I think in order for the Jet fan to be moved, you can't run it back. You can't. Hey, we're going to try this again, and that was my point. Like, you don't find this success story where you've worked 2 years in a row to make, and this is specific to Zach Wilson. I'm focused mostly on the quarterback here. I know they had offensive line issues. I know you could throw every excuse out there, but it doesn't diminish how bad the quarterback situation is in New York right now. And so as you look at the seasons and you look at the history of quarterbacks that are drafted high and then just keep running it back and back, you got to go way back. Alex Smith was a long time. It was my era, dude. You got to go way back before you find, he hung on for 4 or 5 years and he finally figured it out. You can't afford to do that anymore. And so the lack of a plan, or at least a concrete one, running it back with the same situation just doesn't feel that appealing at all.
No. Let me ask you a question. So there's a lot of speculation. I mean, it's going to happen. If LaFleur is back, he's going to be paired up with a veteran assistant.
Yeah, like
that sage,
like Tom Moore used to be.
Yeah.
Wherever he is now, he's an older assistant, hanging around, just giving advice, helping these young coordinators, whoever, grow.
But here's my question with that dynamic. Let's say LaFleur's back and that voice does enter the building. Who wins? Eventually, there's a struggle. You're not always uniformly on the same page. So if we're 2 or 3 weeks into the season,
let's
the Jets offense.
Let's say it's Gary Kubiak.
Let's say it's Gary Kubiak, and the Jets offense is a little choppy, whether it's Zach or whatever, and it's just not rolling. And LaFleur's got his vision, and Kubiak has his. Who wins?
Yeah.
I don't know how that's palatable.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works.
Well,
it sounds good. Oh, the older voice is going to come in and, guide the younger offensive coordinator. But is that really practical?
I mean, if it works, yes. If it doesn't, no. Because I think you're right. I think what happens is eventually someone has to become alpha, right? Somebody has to become the winning out voice. And unfortunately, because Robert Saleh is a defensive-focused coach, that's where his mind is, that's where his expertise is. It's not like he has the swaying vote. It's not like he can say, well, Mike LaFleur, your input matters more than Gary Kubiak's, or Gary, your input matters more than Mike LaFleur's. Because it's not his expertise.
And how does Robert Saleh navigate that as the head of the franchise, on a day-to-day basis?
It gets hard.
Who does he defer to, his buddy or the veteran voice?
I don't know.
It seems complicated.
As smart.
Just call Sean Payton.
Yeah, BT, as smart as it sounds, it actually creates another layer of complication.
It could. Now, that doesn't mean that. Let me be fair. I'm not saying that LaFleur is not going to be amenable to a new voice. I believe that, like, on the most basic conceptual level, well, first of all, he probably knows if I don't do this, I'm out. So he's going to embrace it. But he might embrace it for the first 2-3 weeks as they craft this offseason vision of how to fix Zach or do whatever with whomever. But eventually, the rubber's going to beat the road, and LaFleur's going to be hell-bent on his way, and the new voice, whomever that is going to want to do it his way. Yeah. And if there's a little lack of harmony, how does Robert Saleh, who's still trying to learn how to be a head coach day-to-day effectively, you got to throw this in his lap?
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't seem perfect.
I'm trying. There is a process to do this. Like, there is. Like, how do you get a quarterback up to snuff in the NFL?
You start by drafting one who doesn't need to be completely overhauled. Well, that's where it starts.
That's one. But there is a process to doing it. Mm-hmm. And look, Brian Dable probably knows what this. Like, we could go sit down if you and I, popped over to I forget where they live, Franklin Lakes, and go have a cigar and have a scotch with Brian Dable.
I'll bring the bottle.
Right? If we go do that in the offseason and we say, Coach, tell us this. How did you get Zach? Josh Allen. Like, what was the first thing that you did?
But by the way, if that happens, I'm going to actually try to get him to come to the Jets. I'm going to waste my time on Josh.
You're not taking my head coach.
Maybe 6 scotches in. Hey, what do you think there, buddy?
But here's the conversation.
Want to save us?
Tell us the first thing that you did. And he's going to say, well, this is what I did. I got to know him. I got to know how he works. He ticks. He came over. We had some beers. We did whatever. Mm-hmm. So I knew how to push the right buttons at the right times. And then, once we got in the film room and then in the book, we started talking about X, Y, and Z. And then when we got on the field, we started doing this fundamental. Like, there's a process to make this right for Zach Wilson. And if the Jets don't follow a process and not just say, oh, we'll figure it out. We got him worked out. I think they've been saying he'll figure it out instead of going through some prescribed step to make him an NFL quality quarterback. I mean, it's obvious that they haven't done that.
Yeah.
They need to do that. Otherwise, he will fully be busted.
Mm-hmm. I can't even possibly dispute that. 877-337-6666. Giant fans, Julian Love coming up at 11:30. Start greasing the wheels for the showdown with the Vikings. We've got Sweeney a little later. Hoff, real fast, you got a little nervous with this Carlos Correa stuff every day. A little different story.
It's annoying. I'm not nervous.
You're not nervous, but it's annoying. Okay, fair enough.